We're in the mountains of Mourne today. Can you guess where we are? I'll give you a clue. It's very easy to find. No, it's not. It's hidden, and it's hidden for a reason, because there's lots of good stuff here. The man himself is standing to my left, and Marty is standing to my right. Here we go. We're at Killowen.
Nice. Now, here we Brendan.
Yeah.
Curry at Killowen in its entirety, essentially, and this is where it all happens. So this is,
That is a crease door.
and where'd that name come from?
He's named after a young fella who was very fondly thought of from around the guys around this area. So yeah.
Excellent. And the baby one.
That's Brock.
And what's that from?
Brock's the Irish for badger. A bit more of a playful name this time. That's still before it got its long neck. We had designed it and it was a small, close to the ground type still. Like it was reminded us of a badger. So, there you go. Brock the badger.
You're running gin here at the minute.
That's right, today is a gin day, so the first time we've been running gin in a long time, and we've been making a lot of plated pot still up until today. So we're using this thumper keg, which we also use for making rum. We're using it for gin as a gin basket. So it's a mediatory between the still and the condenser here.
Now, explain a thumper keg. What is a thumper keg?
Thumper keg is more of a technology taken from the southern states of America.
Yeah.
And they also use it for making, down in the Caribbean, for making rums. So we use it in this case as a gin basket. So if we were to use two of those in a rum manufacturing process, it would equate to an extra distillation.
Yeah.
So one of these is like an extra half a distillation. So we're running our gin up through this still at the moment. And that vapour is coming down in through, and it's infusing. It's being infused with the gin botanicals. So those native botanicals we harvest around the local area here. Yeah. And whenever the spirit then comes out, you get all of those lovely fresh botanical notes.
And it's wonderfully oily too. It's real oil to it,
Great. And those are the hearts coming out right now of the gin. So
this is what folk will be drinking. This is what they end up going into a bottle.
Yeah.
Now that coming off there, what's that running out at?
It should be coming out at around, I would say, 75 at the moment. Yeah, and that would be very constant right up until the end, and then start to drop very dramatically. So.
Now, one of the things I can feel coming off the still here is the heat, and it's coming below the brick. This is gas fired.
Yeah.
Right. Now explain. I know you've done this before, but explain to people why you gas fire. Why do you direct flame fire?
Right, so it's all about the whiskey. So we wanted to start making whiskey, and in order, we wanted to make it in our own way, and that was whiskey that we couldn't taste anymore. So we wanted to taste whiskey with Maillard reaction. So the Maillard reaction is very important to us. It actually adds another dimension of flavour and character to the spirit. Now that Maillard reaction is when you use fire at the base of the still, and then whenever the proteins, which are amino acids, and the sugars combine together and they char together and caramelise at the base of the still and create that lovely burnt note that we get in our food.
I've always been. I read a great.
We're going to overflow. Everything's on my hand here.
We're going to overflow. Hang on.
So do you remember that pipe we took out to stop that noise? We're just going to have to.
Oh, put her back on again. There we go.
Nice.
Now, the way it was described to me was what happens is when you get that browning, you create what's called a flavour cascade. I thought that was a really good way to do it.
Yeah.
And basically, it's the difference between frying and boiling your food. Essentially, it basically cooks it if you boil it, but there's no flavour in it.
That's right.
And that's essentially what you're doing here.
Hi, would you rather like a barbecued steak or would you rather a boiled steak?
Boiled steak, boiled fillet steak. Yeah, but when they do the sous vide cooking, you heat it through and then sear it, but it's the searing that gives the flavour. Basically, you're just cooking it like that.
Yeah.
Now this is coming off here at the minute. You're running it through the thumper keg into your condenser, your heat exchange or cooler, and then out here.
That's exactly it.
That's essentially. This is basically how it all works.
It's very remedial technology. This is the old way of doing it.
Yeah.
Fire to heat the still, and in fact, our condenser itself is a worm tub.
Yeah.
So instead of using shell and tubes, which are incredibly efficient, it's like if you were to open a door, for instance, in a hot room, all of the warm air would rush out very quickly. So the more of a, there we go, that's going to happen now for a few seconds. So the more of a, draw that you have in your stove, because it's cooler and it's much more efficient, it means that there's going to be less time for that for that gas,
Contact.
that steam to be inside the still. So because we're using a worm tub, which is less efficient, it creates a draw on the still, which isn't as intense, and then less of a draw, in other words, and then that gas is staying in there for longer. It's interacting for longer with the copper, and the more interaction with the copper, that means that there's less of those sulfates, and the more, the less goes off notes that we're getting.
Now, essentially, I know you've said before, whenever you're using a thumper cake, that's when you're doing your whiskey. You're double distilling. It's rum primarily you put through the thumper cake.
That's right. Yeah.
So your whiskey doesn't go through the thumper cake. No,
definitely not. Yeah, so that's where it's good to get it back in action. You know, we stuck it up there today. So the thumper, we use it for rum. Again, rum can be a bit aggressive because we've such a high molasses content in the rum as well. And you've even tasted, you know, how much molasses is actually in our rum. You can taste it, which that's the flavour that we're after. But we're trying to pare back a little bit of that aggression. We want it to be ready sooner for consumption as well. So we want to get our rum out there in the market and people drinking it instead of waiting for a number of years. So we're putting it out there after 6 months, which was amazing when we done that at the time. It was very palatable, and that's because of that extra half the distillation basically in that thumper cake. Well, that's how the science works in our minds, and you know, it's going all right so far.
Yeah, well, it's been going all right. Now you rum out, and it was massively well received, really well received. When's the next lot of that coming? When do we wait for more rum to be coming?
We're ready as soon as we can get a chance to get it into the bottle. We get it out there, and this one's actually got a new twist. So it's gone through the Solera system. It's gone through the bourbon casks, the heavily charred casks. It's gone into the PX cask at the end for finishing. But this time we took that and it's spent. So it's over a year now, and it's sitting in a different sort of a cask. So it's offering quite a unique flavour, and it's just a one-off. So this next one's going to be pretty remarkable. You know?
Well, the first one was pretty remarkable. I thought it was absolutely fabulous. Now, when people come to a distillery, what they expect is guys, big outfits with massive keg, massive maturation, and so on. Brendan's went a little bit, well, we say bijou really. It's a bit small. The whole distillery itself is basically one shed. I mean, it's a shed divided into 3 parts. So how do you innovate? How did you innovate enough? Get that in your head, right? I can do this and move things about. I know you're an architect, so maybe that's the skill set you need, is it?
So in terms of trying to be efficient with the space, that and a very tight budget, with a non-existent budget at the time, you know, and then just trying to cram as much into small space as possible. There was also working within the building regulations in terms of the fire escapes, you know, even normal things like accessible entrances, accessible toilets. Fire regulations are very important too. So although there is fire play here within the ATEX regulations, there's anti-explosive lighting and whatnot. So and the only sockets are at the far end of the building, within distance from the shed, from the distance from the stills, from the source of fire. So there's a lot. There's a lot to be considered in such a small space. Although it might look a bit thrown together.
Well, the thing about it is, I think that sort of feeds into your innovative sort of mindset. You know, you have very limited resources, you're very limited space, you're very limited everything essentially. So being innovative feeds into what the whiskey's doing as well. So I mean, you're regarded, and rightly so, as one of the innovators of Irish whiskey.
But that's pretty humbling to hear that, to be honest with you.
No, but it's true. I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of big guys looking at what the like of Killowen's doing, especially what Killowen's doing.
Yeah, but I suppose it's easier to turn a dinghy than it is to turn the Titanic. Do you know what I mean? If you've got a big company, and we've been here to the ground about what consumers want, because we see ourselves as consumers of whiskey. So we turn around and we think, right, you know what I'd love to taste? You know what's not in the market right now? What we just do is go and make a cask of it and get it out there. And next thing you know, we get the labels turned around, the cask turned around, and push it out there.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's the strength we have. If you're running a multinational conglomerate,
I like the way you say you turn around the labels. That's get the black market right in, Brendan, is it?
That's right too. Yeah. So when you're under siege by whiskey authorities who are reporting you to, you know, unnecessarily to government authorities. All you have to do is, scribble it out. So it's easier to scribble out a few hundred labels than it is to...
the whole lot reprint it. Now, you run tours, you let people come up here and do a tour. A tour doesn't take a huge amount of time here, let's be honest, because you see it all in 2 minutes. But
Marty, we've been here 6 hours already.
So, I'm trying to sober up. But the thing is,
Good man, Justin.
but when you come here, you actually get touching the stills. You can come in here and see the things in action and get to actually see every stage of it hands-on. You don't get that in any other distillery tour. You just don't. For regulations and the way they have it and the fact that they're a much bigger operation and so on. But when you come to Killowen, you actually get, oh, do you want to open this? Or the whole process and all that you're doing, you're quite happy to share everything that you're doing here at the minute.
It's much more, you can relate to it then as well. You can understand the process.
Yeah.
When you go into a large sterile plant and you can see, one's a work cooler or whatever, and it moves into this different vat, which is a temporary vessel before it moves into another vessel. And you've got all of you just get confused very quickly.
Yeah.
But when you've got this laid out to you in a very clear, concise diagram for tours, basically people come to these tours and get educated and understand the process. I remember going to Irish distilleries when I was younger and tours and not having a clue what was going on. All you can see is a factory. When the science is out in front of you here, and you're basically mixing the grains together, and it's just much more understandable,
And it's also much more understandable because I know that you've put on a little bit of biceps and that. This is basically the agitators.
Elbow grease, yeah.
So this is how things are stirred in Killowen. Basically big paddles.
That's right.
When they go into the mash tun. Now, you have the bottling coming out for Belfast Whisky Week Festival.
That's right, yeah.
Now, do you want to tell us a little bit about that, or keep it under wraps?
Aside from making these lovely old mash bills, which we're very vocal about, making these really interesting mash bills, we also focus on bonding and blending. So we get liquid from different distilleries, bat them together, blend them together, put them into casks, creatively age them and finish them, and stick them out to the market.
Yeah.
With no added colour, no filtration, cast strength.
Zero filtration.
This time we got this lovely single malt, from the north of Ireland. We're not allowed to say where the liquid comes from.
All right. Oh yeah.
All right. So we have a tiny bit of that.
All right. You're lucky it's not live.
So so it's absolutely delicious. And I never tasted that expression in a port cask before. So we got this bloody amazing port cask from the northern Douro, and you only see the gunk that was in that cask before we cleaned it out. And even while we were bottling it off, there was like, the residue inside it was like the tea leaf. And it conked out our bottling machine for many, many times. But we ended up just filtering them by hand, and bottling it then. Because there was just too much residue to be in the cask. So, to be in a bottle. It's alright having a bit of char now and again, but when you're getting this hummus almost, it was a bit too much. We got this beautiful whiskey now, and it just tastes like something else. And the European oak as well has offered a hell of a lot more spice. Yeah. So with that standard of single malt, a lot of those flavours that you'd expect aren't actually there. So it's gone quite down a different road, but it still has that DNA that's quite recognisable, and it's absolutely delicious. So it's a lovely expression. And not just that, Belfast Whisky Week is something that we had to. You go at it with the kitchen sink and everything. You just don't leave anything behind. Do your best.
I think. Let's be honest with it. Paul needs his congratulations because what he's doing is just amazing. So we're going for a changeover.
This is the.
Don't you hold that for you?
Sorry, no. So this is just a big. This lovely
gin. This is yours.
Thank you.
Do you remember Darby O'Gill and the Little People?
Oh yeah.
I do. I'm Sean Connery, am I?
Yeah, exactly. He drinks out of the thimble. I just going to have to throw this. Pour it in our gin vat.
This is how things are done at Killowen.
Lovely jubbly.
Nothing's done on a big scale around here. It's just a remarkable place. Now, tours, how do they book tours?
Yeah, so online through the website. The website's been held up a bit because we've got this fantastic designer, but he's totally engrossed by Belfast Whisky Week and also Two Stacks. So he's totally going. So as soon as he gets the moment, we're going to launch it. It's absolutely beautiful, and you can book online. Yeah. In the meantime, people are just torturing us at info@kilowendistillery.com.
Yeah.
So we're getting tours every week anyway, regardless. So 1 o'clock on a Saturday normally.
1 o'clock on a Saturday. What price?
£32. That includes tasting of gins, new makes, whiskies, tea and coffee at the end, and a good bit of crack. Exactly. And if there's a group bigger than 8, you're getting live music by an Ellen Piper who lives in Million here. So
what do you want? You mentioned Two Stacks there.
Yeah.
Explain about Two Stacks and Killowen, how that works.
So Killowen, the founders of Killowen Distillery are Shane McCarthy, Liam Brogan, Brendan McCarthy. And at the same time, Two Stacks then was founded by Liam Brogan and Shane McCarthy, which is a very good expertise at, understanding whiskey and exporting alcohol around the world.
Yeah.
They've been showcasing the best of Irish produce around the world for about 7 years now. They deserve a lot of kudos for that. And a lot of the consumers are looking at whiskies that they don't really have in the country at the minute. So the guys will be able to step foot forward. Share a lot of the same ethos as Killowen, integrity bottlings.
Yeah.
And a lot of bold moves, a lot of very affordable whiskies for the quality.
Yeah.
And right now they're working on something very special with really old spirit, making it as affordable as possible for the consumer. So it's a good way to go. And so right now, they're working on it really interesting. I don't want to talk too much about it because they're going to get it out there.
Absolutely.
So but it's and Donald McGlynn as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Donald McGlynn is another owner of Two Stacks.
Yeah. So there are lots of similarities between Two Stacks and Killowen because it's cask finishing and it's integrity bottling and reducing. That's foremost of it.
Yeah, and a lot of it's done here on site as well. So
Yeah.
the guys are responsible for taking up half of our space that's non-existent in the first place.
Half of nothing still from Now, so if you're coming to find Killowen, you really need to make sure you've downloaded your Google map, okay? Because the internet's reception down here is patchy at best. So get your map downloaded and find it because it's way up the lane. And if you do come up the lane and someone's coming down, there's lots of little places to pull in. Don't be panicking.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of place.
You might have to reverse back a
You
bit.
might have to reverse back, but you're going to get up and now. Going to say bye-bye to Brendan. Anything you need to know, get on him. He's not that busy. He's normally sitting about doing very little. He's always busy. But you come down to Killowen because it's absolutely fantastic place. Absolutely marvellous.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.